All right, today's episode is going to save you hours. And I'm talking hours every week and for the rest of your life, so many hours, a lifetime. It's going to save you a lifetime of headaches, overthinking, et cetera. We're talking repurposing because every piece of content can be repurposed so many different ways. And I'm going to prove it today. I grabbed some examples and they will be in the show notes. But first, I want to talk about how I repurpose and how by the time this episode's air, you will see how I took something I shared on Threads the other day and how all the other ways I'm going to take that one thing on Threads and repurpose it in so many different ways. So first, let's talk what repurposing is. Repurposing is not reposting. So when I say repurposing, what I mean is, let's say I do a carousel on Instagram, I will then use that carousel as a script, a talk to camera script, right? Or let's say a caption from a reel a year ago. Maybe the reel a year ago was B-roll with a simple message on top, right? With like 10 words or something like that. But the caption was lengthy. I could make that caption a script. I could make that caption a carousel, things like that. So while reposting is fine, I will say when I repost something that did well a year ago, it does not necessarily mean it's going to go viral. Or maybe there's a reel that didn't do well a year ago. Try it again and maybe it will go viral. You just never know, right? Things that resonate. It's all about what resonates and making a few tweaks and things like that. But what I want to say real quick, the way I like to break down the platforms, LinkedIn is like how I like to show up as if I'm at like a networking event, right? I'm with my peers. I share a lot of content on LinkedIn for my peers because that's what typically does well. It's you want to like share your insights on your world, things like that. That's what I find does best for me as a marketer. Okay. That doesn't mean everyone has a different strategy, but on LinkedIn, I go on there and I use it as a sounding board to kind of complain sometimes about our industry, like social media managers not being paid enough or valued enough, things as marketers that we need to get rid of and things that we can control. And basically what I share is hot takes. Everyone loves a hot take, right? I share a lot of that on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn content is actually completely different than often what I post on Instagram. But what I do, because TikTok, a lot of my following on TikTok are marketers. And again, I always say on TikTok is my playground. I just throw stuff out because I'm like, literally, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I posted like 7 TikToks. Yesterday, I did one. Today, who even knows if I'll get one up? I don't have a strategy there. TikTok is my playground. It is recess for me. It's for me to just kind of honor the fact that I like to just create. And I'm very not attached to the outcome of how things perform on TikTok. So if you go to my TikTok thinking it's going to look like my other content everywhere else, it's not. It's very different. But if something does well on TikTok, I might repurpose it to Instagram sometimes. But I want you to know that they are all different beasts. So when I write something on LinkedIn, it's usually about marketing. It's usually not something I will put on Instagram because my Instagram audience is very different from my LinkedIn audience. But my LinkedIn and TikTok audience, very similar. So on TikTok, I share lots of ideas for social media managers, social media marketers, social media strategists, consultants, people in my industry. I say things that they're maybe sometimes too scared to say because I've been in the industry a long time. So those kind of I repurpose a lot, LinkedIn and TikTok, right? So that way, whatever I share on LinkedIn, I typically share it on TikTok. I'll take my LinkedIn text and it's usually a wordy rant, if you will. And then I'll either talk to camera on TikTok with that script. I will literally take the rant I shared on LinkedIn and say it to the camera on TikTok. And there's my TikTok, it's done. Or I'll take some B-roll where I'm sitting there working at a coffee shop or whatever, what have you. And then I'll take the text that I shared in the LinkedIn and put it there. So now I've got 3 pieces of content for one. There's that. Okay. Here's the other thing I do that my mentor noticed I started doing a year and a half ago. She was like, Shannon, I kind of noticed you share a lot on Threads. And then the next day it's on Instagram and it's an email and it's a blog. And I'm like, there you go. You discovered my little trick. Again, I like to test things out on platforms where I'm not attached to the outcome. And I will be 1,000% honest. I'm very attached to the outcome of my reels because not so much that I'm like, I want to go viral. I want to help everyone. And when I see so much other tips that are going viral that aren't true, I get very frustrated. And because I'm on Instagram chronically more than I should be, I see more content there and I consume more there. So I just want to really serve. So I'm more attached to the outcome because I'm like, I need every business owner to see this desperately. I know for you guys, you're attached to the outcome because the metrics, it's hard to look at. But again, like I always say, you're probably doing better than you think you are. Engagement rate across Instagram, 5% is always my goal for my clients and myself. But the more followers you get, that rate goes down. So if you're over 10,000 followers, your engagement rate is typically like 1%, meaning 1% of the following you have is liking, engaging with your content. Okay. If you're above 1%, you're totally fine. You can actually go to a website called Flanks. I think it's PHLANX. And just literally Google Flanks engagement rate calculator in Google and you'll put it there. You can put your username, and it'll spout out an engagement rate. Okay, with that said, let's get back to repurposing. So that's how I will do. I'll do LinkedIn, TikTok, similar audience. Instagram, I will throw something up on Threads when I'm having a moment, a thought, an opinion, whatever. I throw it out on Threads. Because again, if it does well, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. If it does well, I take that thread and I throw the text over some B-roll with some trending audio, call it a day. It's one text box, one video clip, a trending audio, typically about 4 to 7 seconds, depending on how long it takes me to read the text on screen. Done. Reel, done. I literally do this all the time. Other thing I do, and what I'm going to do today, I shared a thread yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever. Who knows what day it is ever anymore, right? Threw it on Threads. It did really well, and it got shares too. People are in the comments like, oh my gosh, I needed this. Thanks for the reminder. Another was like, why are you yelling at me? Right? We're, being funny. Because I know it's a thread where like the text is really good because I was just really feeling it in the moment. And usually when I'm like that with my content and passionate about it, like comes through. I think it's going to do even better if I talk to the camera. So today, after this podcast, I'm going to literally plop my phone down on the kitchen counter and I'm going to say that thread verbatim as a script, and it's going to be done. There's my reel today. Okay. So by the time this episode airs, you can go see it. It's about, basically saying like, you're telling me you're worried someone's going to judge you and that's holding you back type of thing. Basically saying how silly it sounds once we really break down why you're scared to hit post. And I know it's a lot of mindset. I get it. I'm not downplaying. I'm just saying, don't let people that don't have your best interest at heart stop you from hitting post. Okay. So with that said, I will do that on Threads and then I'll make it a script. And guess what? In about a month, I'm going to do a reel with a B-roll, trending audio, and the same text. And I will keep repurposing the stuff over and over again. Then when it's time to do an email next week, that will be the whole premise of my email, that thread, but I will make that thread basically a long email and talk about what got me to finally hit post. I'll tell my story behind how I feel that way. So that's what I mean by repurpose. Again, you can absolutely repost same content, nothing's promised it's going to do as well. That is what I do. So with that said, one more thing, actually, I had a reel go viral a year ago and it was the title over my head was the 3 Instagram stories you need to post every day, or the first 3 stories to post every day. Again, that triggers things in their brain that makes it not sound scary. It's like, oh, just these are the first 3. Go ahead, right? It did really well for me. And I talked to the camera and talk it out. 2 months later, I took my script. I literally took my script, exactly what I said. I transcribed because a lot of my stuff is off the cuff. And I literally let the reel play and I typed out everything I said and I flipped it into a carousel post. And guess what? That carousel post also went viral for me. Not crazy viral, but viral for my account. Also got new followers, right? I literally, the first slide of my carousel was the hook that had been over my head in the talk to camera. That was slide 1. Slide 2, my intro, right? And then slide 3, tip 1, slide 4, tip 2, slide da 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 da. Okay. They're all on my Instagram account if you want to dig in. Actually, we'll put them in the show notes. Oh, yay. That'll be good. That'll be fun. I'm a nerd. All right. So I found a bunch of content from different industries and I'm going to tell you exactly how I would repurpose their content. This is all viral content. Ready? And these will all be in the show notes. First viral piece of content is a carousel post. Looks like she's like in money, finance, etc. Okay. The slide, if you're watching on YouTube, first slide, loyal programs are the hottest consumer status symbol. Okay. Now, again, if you're new to carousels, obviously we're not talking photo dumps. Photo dumps are one thing. Photo dumps still work, right? Carousels are like a slideshow. First slide, loyalty programs are the hottest consumer status symbol. Next slide. And this one looks like it went not viral again, but it's almost 4,000 likes. That's a lot for her following. Okay. Second slide. The loyalty economy is booming. And then she's got some graphics and a bunch of text. Third slide. Loyalty tiers, da, da, da. If I was her social media manager or strategist, I would say, okay, now that did well, let's do a reel with the same exact everything. You've already got it. She would talk to the camera and the hook over her head would be exactly what's on this first carousel. The hook over her head for 3 seconds as she's talking would say, loyalty programs are the hottest consumer status symbol, or we would remix it in any way. First words out of her mouth are exactly what's on slide 2, and that is her entire script. She would look at the camera. So the first thing out of her mouth with the hook over her head, she would say, the loyalty economy is booming. Consumers aren't just joining loyalty programs, they're chasing them. That is what I mean by repurposing. And then again, she could turn that into a newsletter. She could turn it into, and let me just say, take every reel of yours and put it on YouTube Shorts. I beg of you. All right. Next one is a local food blogger. Her hook, 10,000 likes. Her hook says on screen, historic no frills diner in the West Village. Okay. Next text. And then it just shows the name. If I was her, since she already has the footage, I would say, okay, since this was B-roll with text, that was it. It was just B-roll, trending audio, text. no voiceover. The next one, we're doing a voiceover. I would say, come with me to check out this historic no frills diner in West Village. And then everything in her caption is the rest of her script. A quintessential New York City diner serving a delicious right? Do you see what I mean? All right, the next one is for an interior designer. Hook says 4 of the best decisions we made for our home. She can now turn this into a carousel. That is the first slide of her carousel because this is a reel with a hook and then a clip with text, a clip with text, a clip with text. She breaks down the 4 things. She can make that a carousel of images where, again, first slide, 4 things, decisions we made at home. The second slide, she could even tell more of the story. We bought this home in 2000, and then slide 3 would be number 1, this cabinetry. Number 2, right? And slide after slide after slide. Okay. Lastly, another example, this girl, dupe.com. The video is B-roll of her reaction. And it says, you guys, I just finished a 2-hour-long documentary about how the furniture industry is scamming us and I'm not okay. Again, she can now repurpose this to her looking at the camera and saying, you guys, I just da-da-da-da. And then she flips the camera just like she did in this one and shows you exactly what to do. There you go. And from there, she could make a carousel if she wanted, right? So that's what I mean by repurposing. And this is why I love the Reels Lab so much, shameless plug, because every reel in there, the script can be turned into a carousel. The B-roll with trending audio can be turned into a talk to camera. So I want you to go look at any content, maybe even content that didn't do well that you thought should have done better, content of yours that did really well, and just see how you can flip it. And then look at a longer caption, how you can turn it into an email or maybe a blog. Okay. So instead of always just leaning on reposting, try repurposing. I am team repurpose. I've repurposed so much content over the years. It's okay to repeat yourself. Remember, repetition, familiarity, we love it. In marketing, it's everything.